Hello and welcome to the Initiative Order and our little session, as you can see from the group, of A Corrupted Frontier, our Death in Space campaign. Thank you all very much for joining us for this. Today will be a double feature day, as following this session we will be having another session. But for this we wanted to do a little bit of a mini session with a smaller group to showcase some other little things going on in this game. So before we jump in, just want to quickly go around our massive table of players and introduce everyone, and then we'll jump in. So without further ado, I will go in clockwise fashion. That took me ages to work out. And we'll start with Echo.
Hi, my name is Rachel Beauregard. I am an actor, a TTRPG. I also have ADHD, so I don't know if those letters were correct. You can find me on Instagram at Manic Pixie Tank Girl, or my gay and nerdy graphic design at Bad Duck Design.
Thank you very much. And then last but by no means least, Mira.
Oh, it's my turn. Hi, I'm Dawn, known as Dawn Whisper on the internet. I'm a full-time streamer here on Twitch, play lots of RPGs and MMOs, and I'm also a big fan of D&D and tabletop. And I play Mira here in the campaign, who is our Chrome engineer aboard the ship.
Thank you very much. And I'm Danny, like you all know me. So, without further ado, let's jump into A Corrupted Frontier. And we are back. So, to set the scene for this little session, Mira, we were on this moon station that was attached via a elevator shaft to the planet surface of a planet called Lepidoptera, and you were going there to pursue a bounty, a serial killer by the name of Bo Zapper. And you went in with your intrepid crew of individuals, and you encountered this person, this Bo Zapper, who it turns out was like a 7 foot tall, pure muscle maniac who stalked you whilst you were searching for them, taunting you over a PA system, and inevitably lashing out and attacking your group, chopping the leg off of Xander. and then rushing towards the lift, that would take them down to the surface where Bobbi was in the ship waiting for you guys to return in preparation for a speedy getaway in case any of the locals, as you had already encountered, decided to show up. You went to the lifts to follow Bozapper and to get Xander out in one piece. Well, now two. But get them to safety so you can try and perform some form of first aid and help out. Getting to the lift, you realise that Bo was in the lift but hadn't descended down, was waiting in the lift. So you set up a trap. You hid on one side, Lunar hid on the other, and Wyoming used themselves as bait to lure Bozapper out of the lift. The lift doors opened and Bo pounced at Wyoming with this big blade, this jagged blade that they had used to chop Xander's leg off. They pounced, jumping on top of Wyoming, attempting to behead them with the knife as they lay on top of them. Lunar, using their shotgun, blasted a hole into the side of Bozapper, which did not deter them from what they were trying to act out. In this moment, you saw something in front of you that kind of triggered a memory in your mind from your past, and in a moment of, I would say, blind rage, you leapt forward yourself at Bozapper, holding the knife of Xander, and you plunged it into the base of his neck, killing him instantly as you severed the spinal cord from the base of his brain to the rest of his body, and he went limp on top of Wyoming, where he moved no more. But in doing this and plunging this knife in this moment of just blind aggression, it sparked a chain of thought in your mind, that you thought you'd never have again since the last time you acted like this. And it became something that you begin to obsess over, and it's all you could think about in this moment. And you assisted Lunar in getting Xander into the lift with Wyoming and dragging the body of Bozapper in to the lift to descend to the ship. And you descended. You had seen with everyone else that Bozapper had a metal plate on his chest with screws, and you began unscrewing those at the request of Lunar, I believe. But before you could finish doing that, the lift had reached the bottom, and you were making your way onto the ship, almost in a sense of autopilot within yourself. You were just kind of following process being something you're very well aware of in your former life. Process is all you knew, it's all you did. But you were following process. You assisted Lunar in bringing the body of Bo. You carried him onto the ship, put him into the cargo bay, and then you remember there being a lot of shouting going on and the ship taking off. It was at this point you went to your room. Again, that kind of internal autopilot going, right, I've done that. Okay, now I need to go here. And you went in your room, you locked your door, and you sat down. And this is where we will pick up. So, you sit down in your room, and this chain of thought now is at the forefront of your mind. It isn't something that's clouded you since you stabbed Bo. This is like all you can think about. And it is the vision you had on the ship a little while ago, during your travels, in the engine room, where you looked down and saw a bound young woman in front of you, and then there's a snap and you see their body on the floor covered in blood and a knife in your hand and you covered in blood. And it's this vision paired with the action you had just taken in that station that has set this chain of thought off, and all you can think about is what you had done prior to making your way to the Iron Ring, where you signed up to join the ship and join its crew and begin a fresh new life away from what you thought would be away from violence, away from aggression, because you were part of a gang previously. They were your family, were a gang, and you distanced yourself from that in a very specific way because of what they were doing, and you realized in their actions that in the end they weren't the right actions, and you didn't want to be a part of that. But you've put yourself almost in the shoes of the people you left behind by doing something so aggressive, so violent in ending someone's life, that you're now stuck in a moral dilemma. And you're sat in your room, and all you can do is think about these events, these 3 events, and how the similarities are overlapping and crossing, and your mind is kind of stuck in this loop, and you're not sure which happened first, which just happened. Did that just happen, or was that back then? If it was back then and it didn't just happen now, but it did just happen now, then what happened between? And then, is that real? Did that happen at all? You're now stuck wondering, is anything real? So I need you to make me a savvy roll.
Okay. $14.
14. Okay. It's a success. You sit there in your room, and you're just like, if anyone was to look in, which the crew were very respectful and left you alone, looking as you entered the ship originally, you were going through something, so they're like, we'll just leave her be. But if they were to have looked in, you would have just be sat motionless on your bed. And you're going through all this, and you're struggling to make heads or tails of what is real. Did that happen? Did that just happen? It feels like it was a long time ago, but if it was a long time ago, I've changed since then, so it can't happen again. But I saw it happen, so it must have happened. But if it happened, then it was then, not now. And you're still stuck in this loop. Then you hear a voice outside of your own. And you hear a kind of a booming echo that rings twice. And you hear a, "Hey, Mira, hope you're okay. Need anything? Here if you need anything. Okay?" And it kind of rings and echoes in the background while you're having this internal monologue with yourself. And for a second, you go, and it's silence. and your mind clears of this repetitive cycle of, did that happen? Was this going on? When was that? And it's silence. And in that silence, you kind of turn, become aware of your surroundings, and you look in front of you, and you see you're in your room. You see a small little like table that you have in front of you, and on it you see a screwdriver, a pair of pliers, some sort of circuit board and cables that you've been working on, and next to it you see a small metal cylinder with the like top corner of it appears to be pierced, and there's a little brown something popping out. You realize it's one of the tin cans you pulled from the surface of the planet, and you kind of stop and stare and you go, Wyoming might want that. And in that moment you realize where you are and who you are, and this infinite loop you've been stuck in kind of dissipates, and you take a breath in, and you're in the room again. What do you do now?
I just start to blink as I look around the room, and everything comes back into perspective again. And under my breath, I just say to myself, almost like a mantra, new cycle, new cycle, new cycle. And I slowly get up and put the tools into my tool belt, and I'm gonna look if there's like a hatch in my door, just look and see if I can see anyone outside.
Yeah, there's like a little window hatch, but it opens from the inside for privacy. You look out and the lights are dimmed and you don't see anyone about.
I'll go back and take a look at what I was tinkering with, almost like I knew I was doing something, but I can't remember exactly what I was doing.
Yeah, you go over and you look at the thing that's there, and it's a small circuit board. It doesn't have a housing or a case or anything. There's a couple exposed wires and a little conical shape disc. It looks like it's some sort of speaker. You're not sure what you were originally doing with it, but you know, taking a couple moments and flipping it around and that, and looking like what else you have in your room that you could have been putting together with this. It looks like it's a speaker unit for some sort of warning system that you were building to attach to something on the ship.
I'll pick up the can that was there too and just kind of shake it, give it a sniff.
It smells meaty. There is the little hole in the top, so some of the brown kind of liquid you see as you shake it, it kind of like not quite fizzes but like bubbles out of the little hole, and it has a meaty smell to it.
Disgusting. And then I try and just tuck it into my overalls. I take the little machine I was working on and tuck it into the other side as well, and take a deep breath and go to unlock my door.
Okay. So you unlock your door. And you open it, and you're in. The corridor is there. You don't see anyone.
Hello? Is anyone there? And I feel a bit weird, like I've almost just woken up from a dream. I don't really know what's real, but I know if people are here, they'll probably be messing around in the mess hall or something. So I'll take a turn down to the canteen.
Okay. You head down to the canteen, and you get there, and there is no one there. There is you take a cursory glance around. And you see like the little kitchen area is there. It appears to be clean, tidied away. Like there's not just stuff laid around. You look over to the seating area, which is like the big like a wraparound kind of couch, almost like a diner booth, and the table in the middle with the digital display on top of it because it's a computer. And again, no one here. The computer is on, and the screen is illuminated and it is showing information on it.
I'll take a little look at what they were looking at on the computer. See if it's anything to do with our bounty.
Yeah. You take a quick glance over at it and you notice a couple of things. Firstly, you look at it's got like the date and time in the top corner. And the time is 2:30 a.m. and the date is roughly a week since you landed on the planet. You spot that?
Okay.
Secondly, you see that there is a new high score on one of the games, and it says Wyoming, with a little like a dash and a 3 next to it, like a heart sideways. And then you see that there is a set of star charts open on the screen, and there appears to be, whilst you're kind of looking at the screen, there appears to be data being entered onto these star charts live as you're looking.
Do I remember in my kind of weird state where we were headed after we got the bounty?
No.
Okay.
The presumption was if you, I mean, like as the crew were formulating their plan going here, the plan was to go capture or kill this person and then go claim the bounty, which would be from the Iron Ring.
And what did we take from Bo exactly to prove the bounty again?
I mean, you've brought his entire body.
We just brought the whole thing. Okay.
Yeah.
I am going to go to wherever we put the body.
Okay. That was in. So you remember the body being placed because you assisted in putting it in the cargo bay. So you head to the cargo bay, and you see something strange the moment you enter. When you enter this large room, you see on the right hand side, against the wall, a large, almost egg-shaped pod that is kind of frosted glass top, slightly illuminated, and there is a display panel on the side of it. I was never there before.
I'm gonna walk a bit closer to it, see if I can see like a control panel or anything that would help me recognize what it is.
You move closer. Make me a tech roll.
Yeah, +2 to tech. Let's make this a good one. Actually had 18 naturally, which means it's a 20.
Okay. You look at this pod. Initially, you don't know what it is, but as you step closer, something kind of sparks in your mind, and you're like, okay, that's looks like a hibernation pod. I remember Wyoming talking about these before, they're good for, from what I remember, these can heal severe injuries and stuff. Where the hell did we get a hibernation pod? You look at the little digital display on it, and just from the glance at it, you don't even need to like start touching it and tampering with it to get any information. It is in use. There appears to be someone inside it. They are in a healing cycle. You could put 2 and 2 together and make 4, and hope that Xander is in there healing their severed leg. But as you take that step forward to kind of look at the panel, you do see that there are scratch marks on the top of the glass. They don't pierce through or anything, but it is scratched on the top. And this pod does look used, kind of worn as well.
And there's no body in here that I can see at all.
No one in the cargo bay. In the pod,
Yeah.
potentially, it says it's in use, but it is going through a healing cycle, so it's. I mean, you don't want to interrupt that, ideally.
Okay. I guess I'm just gonna go to where the sleeping quarters are, and be as quiet as I can, and just try and like peep in on everyone if they're sleeping.
Okay. You head back. Can you make me a dexterity roll?
Zero.
0. Okay. You head back to the corridor, where the quarters are, and you're like, I'll be quiet. I'll check in on everyone. I'll be quiet. I won't make too much noise. And you immediately stumble, tripping up over nothing. Just your own presence is enough to trip you up. And you stumble forward, and you do that thing that we all do when we try and stop ourselves from falling. You make like 4 loud slapping footsteps as you kind of fumble your way forward. Not quiet, not graceful, but you do catch yourself, and you're stood now kind of in the middle of the corridor, like 2/3 of the way up to towards the front of the ship, towards the bridge and everything at the front.
Yeah, I catch myself and just make sure I don't hear any movement, and just really hoping I didn't wake anyone up, because I really don't want to upset anyone.
You take that moment and you're like, okay, I think I'm okay. And you kind of pause. You can hear snoring from behind, which you instinctually know that's Wyoming's room. And you're like, okay, I think, wasn't the most graceful, but okay.
Do I see anything, or do I just hear that?
At first, you hear a robotic voice, and then a moment passes, and you see coming from the bridge end of the ship an individual draped in black material and clothing, with a full reflective face mask and a black hood, holding a long, slender metal blade with a additional handle on the grip. Step forward.
I just stare at them. If there is a little alcove, I'll try and duck into the alcove as quickly as I can, hoping they didn't see me, but I think they did.
There is, I will say there is an alcove, but it's like all of like 10 inches deep, so you can kind of duck in, but like a good 2/3 of your body is still sticking out.
I reach into my overalls and just grab for any kind of tool. I probably just have like a screwdriver, and I hold it close to my chest as I'm ducked behind this tiny alcove.
Okay. Echo, you were sat on the bridge of the ship, just updating the star charts with the additional information you had prior to joining this crew. When you heard a sound from back in the ship, knowing that most of the crew, if not all the crew, are usually asleep at this time by yourself, you went and investigated, and you saw an individual stood in the middle of the corridor, looking slightly bewildered. For a second, this person you have never seen before. You've never met this person. In the moment you speak, they attempt to hide, but they do the whole "if I don't move, they can't see me" routine, and just basically lean against the wall and hold a screwdriver to their chest.
Identify yourself.
I warn you, I am armed. Should any violence be enacted, the proper authorities will be informed immediately.
I will assume that this is Mira. And sheath, like, just hand off my sword and just relax my posture. Oh, you must be Mira.
How do you know my name? That's not my name.
I'll put my hand back on my sword. Are you Mira, or are you not Mira?
Perhaps. Who asks this question?
If you are Mira, I'm Echo. We are crewmates.
Not as far as I remember.
I understand you've been in your room. I'm a recent addition. It's understandable you don't know me, but I don't mean you any harm.
Knowing that there's not really much else I can do, and knowing that I am very much bluffing, I am going to cautiously step out and try and get a good look at this figure, like whole body look up and down.
Yeah. You step the half step back into the center of the corridor, and yeah, as you see before you, you see Echo stood there, robed with their sword. Echo, have you lowered your sword again, or are you still holding it up?
I've lowered it.
Okay. So you see Echo stood there. They've lowered their sword. They are now in a non-threatening posture.
You say you're a crew member. I don't believe we've stopped anywhere recently to pick up new crew.
It wasn't intentional. There was catastrophic damage to my ship. Your crew members, your captain, came across the wreckage and found me in a hibernation pod that you all needed for your friend Xander. So they took me out of the pod so they could put Xander in, and I offered my services, specifically navigation, to the captain, and they have allowed me to stay at least until we return to the Iron Ring. I'm very lucky that you all came across me. But no, I was not hired on in what one would say is a traditional interview process.
Not sure I believe in that.
The interview process?
Luck.
Oh, luck.
Seems
Well,
rather convenient we should come across the very thing we needed.
I was asleep, so
And what is your affiliation?
how do you mean?
Your allegiance.
My allegiance right now is to my captain and my new crew. I'm a fairly independent being, I suppose. So my main allegiance, I suppose, would be to myself.
Well, I'm gonna step closer to them, dust off my overalls, and I'll just very shakily offer them my hand. Not much in the way of an introduction, I'm afraid. I'm Mira.
Echo, and I'll reach out and shake your hand as well.
Well, I hope we can trust you. Or at least that you can be useful aboard.
I wouldn't expect to be kept around if I wasn't at least useful. But I am pleased to meet you. I've heard only good things about you.
I'm sure.
Are you feeling better?
Yes. It seems I needed quite a recharge after the developments on that planet.
I can only imagine. I saw what happened to Xander, and it seems it was quite an ordeal.
Is Xander well?
They're on their way. Their leg is growing back, one day at a time.
Nothing that can't be replaced, I imagine.
Replaced, regrown, it's kind of disturbing to look at, to be honest. It's pretty gross. But everyone's been incredibly supportive.
I did offer to make Xander a leg of some sort. Apparently the offer was not too appealing.
Maybe Xander was just attached to the idea of having a leg that was attached.
They do seem rather attached to their body parts. I'm not sure why, when they could be much improved, with some small adjustments.
Interesting.
Like I say, I have offered to upgrade them before.
Well, perhaps in time, once you... If... I have no expectations, but if you grow to trust me, I can pick you up on an upgrade of some kind.
You would let me tinker with you? And she suddenly just seems insanely interested and is looking all over at you, at your helmet, even tries to step a bit closer to have a peek underneath your hood as well.
Oh, I would definitely just lean back a little bit, but I don't see why not. You seem you're good at what you do.
Oh, thank you. Where were you going on your ship?
Not anywhere like long term. We were going to the Mesa 51 asteroid belt. We were doing some mining up there.
I see. And what were you attacked by, exactly?
I was already in the hibernation pod. I woke up to Wyoming trying to steal some of my possessions that were in the pod with me. But when I went in, we were just on our way to our mining station. I unfortunately became ill and was placed into the pod for some extended healing, and it seemed something big, an explosion of some kind, everything, the whole ship was torn apart.
I'm sorry that happened to you, and that you had to wake up to my crewmate.
Honestly, keep apologizing for him.
So familiar.
I don't think he's a bad guy, but he definitely doesn't trust me.
He's certainly unpredictable, which is not my favorite personality trait, if I had to choose.
Yes. In space, definitely not always the most convenient trait, but sometimes those people have ideas that the rest of us wouldn't. Get us out of some tight spots.
I have yet to see that he has any use whatsoever. I will observe the situation, though.
Well, you can keep me posted then.
Absolutely.
While you're up, you charge, I don't wish to presume, but you are a Chrome. Do you eat food of any kind?
I do.
Because I know you've been in there for a while, I know they're bringing you stuff, but I can certainly see if there's anything we can make in the kitchen.
I would like that.
Excellent, good. I promise, weapons are away, we're established, as long as you're not going to try and, kill me the moment my back is turned. That would kind of break this bond that we're forming.
I would like to assess the situation with the captain.
Like the whole situation, or the me situation?
Mostly the you situation. To confirm your side of the story.
Well, that's fair. You want to do that after breakfast, or?
I think I am hungry. Breakfast it is.
Excellent. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first so that you don't worry about me being behind you?
Oh, 1 second, before I forget. And I'll take what I'm assuming is beef stew from my pocket. And if I have any sort of little scraps of paper, I'm just going to write a present and then stick it onto the tin and leave it outside of someone's room, if I can.
Yeah. You even use a bit of the beef stew juice, or the brown juice, to stick it to the side of the can.
And I'll just lean down and leave it by his door. I'm assuming everyone else is abed.
Yeah, I don't need some rest, and I don't always have a hard time sleeping sometimes, so I try to avoid it. Keep myself busy.
I know that feeling. So you are human?
Yeah, yes. I suppose it's part of myself that I don't really like, so I try to think of myself as being separate from my humanity. I don't know. When you don't have to when you don't think of yourself as human, and you don't always have someone looking you in your eyes, it's a bit easier to cope with being alone out here so much. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense to me. There are a few things worse than being alone.
Yes, it's very true.
You're some kind of augmented human, though, surely. I don't mean to pry. It's just very interesting.
Augmented, for me, kind of implies improved, but I would say I'm not augmented, I am modified a little bit. Not to the extent of not being mostly human, but I've been very deep into space, and sometimes in order to survive when you're that isolated, that far from the things you need to live, you have to adapt, I guess. So I'm still human under all of this, I guess, but I think what most people would say is that I'm a void, if that's the term that's still being used.
A void. I believe I have heard the term before.
Yeah. Not like a club or anything, but I think it's just when you've seen so much and you realize how little we all are, your focus shifts. Less concern about things that don't matter, because you see just how insignificant most of us are. It becomes a lot easier to not worry, but it can sometimes be hard reintegrating with people who are more social, more suspicious for sure. That's been a big hurdle in getting things started here with I'm just trying to help. I'm trying to earn my keep. I'm trying to be a navigator for what the crew needs, but I can understand looking at me. People get distrustful whether you're chrome or human if they can't see your face.
People do treat you differently, but there's no harm in being different.
I agree.
Breakfast?
Yeah, breakfast. Good. What is in this kitchen? What do we have, Danny?
You have rations.
Really?
You have dried rations that you can rehydrate. It's more like a porridgey, stewy, possibly meaty, gravy, peppery thing. Or you have the tin cans that were brought back from the planet's surface that have not yet been opened, as people were experimenting with the rations to see if they could get those to taste like something else. And then you have liquids. You have alcohol. It's a very moonshiny alcohol that was brought on board. Water, there is coffee to a degree. They're your options.
Oh, this all looks very iffy. Lots of ingredients, not a lot of food.
Would you like to play a game?
Sure.
It won't be a very fun game, and it could end in disappointment. And I take the cans that are unmarked.
Mm-hmm.
I just stab into one of them to see what we get.
Okay. Roll me a d20.
12.
12. Okay. You stab into this can, and as you pull back, are you stabbing it with the screwdriver?
Yeah.
Okay.
Start with that.
You
It's a
start with
weapon, it's a multi-tool.
Yeah. You pull the screwdriver out, and there is a clear liquid that comes back on the screwdriver. It's not thick, it's not thin. It's got a slightly gelatinous but more runny texture to it.
Place your bets. What do you think it is?
Oh God. Chickpeas?
Chickpeas.
Or,
Interesting.
garbanzo beans, I think they're also called.
My personal bet would be tin peaches. But that's more of a hope than a guess. And I
That would be a miracle.
try and pry it open.
Okay. So you keep stabbing with the screwdriver around the edge to try and peel the lid back. And you get like just over halfway, enough to get a fold on the metal top. And as you fold it back and you look inside, again, you could have sniffed and got a smell of what it was, but you didn't bother. You just was like, colour. You open it, and inside you see this clear liquid. You give it a shake and it kind of moves slowly, and within it you see chunks, like small chunks of something. There is some small white cubes. There's some small beige looking cubes. There is a very pale greeny beige round sphere in there. And then as you kind of keep looking, you give it a little shake, you see like a bubble float from the bottom up. And then as the bubble pops, you see a small half circle that is red in colour.
Interesting. And I'll spear a piece of whatever the heck this is and pass it to Echo.
I'll take it and never really discussed. I'm assuming I can smell, I can breathe, so I can smell through my mask.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just give it a sniff.
It smells very sugary.
It's just on the end of my screwdriver, by the way. I didn't even bother getting a fork.
Oh, okay. I will. May I? And I'll take it and insert the, like, under, like, in a gap that you can't see. Insert the end of the screwdriver and just, like, take a little bite and then pull it back out.
Okay, so it was one of the small white cubes. And you bite it, and it's soft with a slight crunch. It has a sweet flavor to it. How the fuck do you describe the taste of a pear?
Oh,
It tastes like pear. There you go.
Yay!
Well, you said it tastes like it's a pear, but is it a good pear? Is it gone off?
It's not gone off. It still tastes like a pear, but very, very sugary because it appears to be covered in some form of syrup.
It's some sort of fruit. It's good if you want to try some.
I haven't had fruit in a long time. And I'll just try and pick one up just with my fingers.
Okay.
Maybe the little red bit.
You can take the red bit. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you look and it's like the only red bit in the entire can. And you bite it and like one side's very like silky smooth, shiny, and the other side's slightly hollowed, like there's a little gap that was in the middle. And you bite it and it's very sweet from the syrup around it, but it also has its own sweet, rich kind of morello sort of flavor to it. As you bite into half of a little morello cherry.
Tasty.
So, is one can enough for breakfast? I don't want to risk opening another one and not being so lucky. Although you said you don't believe in luck, so maybe this is the one we're supposed to eat.
It was destiny. Try your luck though, if you can.
I don't want to risk wasting it. I don't want to risk wasting food. So I'm happy to split this if you want. I can also grab us some drink.
I don't know what we have in the way of drinks. Moonshine probably isn't appropriate for breakfast.
What?
It depends where you're from.
There's no sun, so really this could be dinner. You could have just slept all day, and now it's dinner time.
This is true, although generally I would consider the first meal upon waking to be breakfast.
That's a fair distinction. I can see we have... Does coffee do anything? I'm sorry, I'm asking a lot of questions, but I haven't interacted with many chromes on anything but a professional level, so I'm unaware. I want to accommodate for your needs.
Pretty sure it does, right? Because I have a human body mostly.
Yeah, a chrome is a AI or a other form of consciousness downloaded into a mostly organic body. Like certain elements are machinery, mechanical, but for the most part it's organic.
Coffee it is.
I like the coffee. It makes everything zappy.
Agreed. I will start making some coffee then. I don't know let me see what we have in terms of further ingredients. Milk in space? I don't know.
Sugar?
No. You have freeze-dried coffee granules, which is synthetic in nature, but mixed with hot water will make something bitter that has a high caffeine content added to it. That is basically it's what is the norm now for being coffee. It's not what coffee is in the traditional sense, but it's the closest thing to it now. Sugar is a thing, but you do not have any on the ship. You definitely don't have milk. Milk has been extinct for a while now. But you could use syrup from your tin in place of sugar.
Alright, I'll brew the coffee, the shitty coffee, and I will experiment first with mine and pour a little bit of the syrup from the can into it and just see if that sweetens it into being tolerable.
Mm-hmm. It takes the edge off the bitterness. Just.
Well, it's better than it was before. It's augmented coffee. So if you'd like some,
Augmented coffee from an augmented human. How fitting. And I'll take a sip.
It tastes so. Up until this point, whilst Mirror has been on the ship, you have had the coffee on the ship before, but you've only ever had it just straight as is, bitter, dark, liquid. This is the first time you've had anything sugar based in it, and it tastes a million times better.
This is remarkably less disgusting. Thank you.
I appreciate the feedback.
You'll have to make some for the others. I'm sure they will enjoy it.
I'm sure everybody but Wyoming will enjoy it.
Wyoming has peculiar tastes.
Yeah, I saw you left him the can. Was that beef he keeps going on about?
The man has been looking for beef stew ever since he set foot on this ship. It seems to be his only goal in life.
Well, I appreciate someone who knows what they want. He's got a solid goal in mind.
Well, to be exact, I feel he was aiming for roast beef, but it's the closest we can get.
Beef in general, hard to get, made from real cows. At least I've been off world for a long time, so I don't even know if we're still making meat from animals like real, not synthetic. Yeah.
Mostly.
I've never seen a cow.
Me neither. I assumed this kind of thing was grown in labs these days.
You can taste the science. So, what is your goal, I guess? You all seem like I have a general idea as to how you all came to be a crew, but individually, everyone's very, very different.
Yes. I mostly saw a new job listing and decided to take it.
That's fair. What were you doing before this?
Less focused on mechanics.
Were you a singer, or... Like, I'm just wondering if you did a full 180 from what you were doing before.
You might say that.
Really? Like an actual singer, or just like the complete opposite of a mechanic?
I was mostly wondering, taking on odd jobs here and there. Some were easier than others.
Yeah, I get that.
Before that, I worked in a factory.
What kind of factory? Fulfilling work, or just, assembly line type stuff?
I suppose in a way you could say it was fulfilling. I knew what my job was. I did it well.
Were you happy?
I didn't know much else. And now I do. If you're asking if I would go back to it again, no, I don't think I would.
Well, then it's good that you're moving on to something else now. Now you're except for Bobbi, you're kind of your own boss. Like, if you don't want to continue working here at any point, you can just take your skills elsewhere, right?
I wouldn't like to leave them.
That's nice.
Get themselves into trouble. Quite a lot, actually.
Yeah, that I can see that happening.
A rather chaotic group, you might say.
Yes. But they all seem like they're trying their best. As much as we're all here for a job and a paycheck to survive, it seems like they genuinely care about each other. It's certainly not the way it was on my other ship. It was very business, and we all have our roles, and we have hierarchies and stuff, but these seem like decent people.
I should hope so. But it's very rarely that decent things happen to decent people.
Yes. So you're very well versed in mechanics, as I've heard, right? Repair, all technical aspects.
I wouldn't say all. I'm glad they've left such a glowing impression of me.
Well, they certainly missed having you around since you've been recovering. Obviously, they've been very supportive of you taking time for yourself and recovering. But yeah, there were times like the leg situation. That was definitely a point when you were sorely missed. We made do in terms of making Xander a crutch so that they can get around, but there was a lot of trial and error, and the end result was decent, but I'm sure you could have made something much more practical. I was just wondering if I have something that's fairly old. It's very small and delicate, but it doesn't work anymore, and I was wondering if you could possibly take a look at it and see if you have any ideas on how to get it functioning again.
Her eyes light up a bit at the idea of fixing something and being in some way useful. Of course. What manner of device is it?
I don't have it on me. It's back in my room, but I'll bring it to you, another time, over another breakfast, hopefully, perhaps. But it's a music box. I've had it for a long time, and throughout my travels and moving from ship to ship, it's been damaged, just jostled around, dropped, and it would mean a lot to me if someone, you specifically, might be able to just get it to play again.
And its only purpose is to play music?
Its practical purpose, yes, I would say, is to play music. Its purpose for me is a bit more abstract, but practically speaking, it just plays a short tune over and over.
Sounds simple enough.
I hope so. I haven't had any luck, mostly because I'm afraid of breaking it if I try and fiddle with it. So someone with more delicate intuition on how to repair it would make me a lot more comfortable than me just going in.
I could take a look. I do hope I wouldn't break it. It sounds as if that would make you very upset.
I would be sad, but the universe is an impermanent place, and I would understand if it... Like you said, there's no such thing as luck, it's destiny, that sort of thing. If it breaks, then I know I asked the one person I think who could fix it to try, and if that's the end of its existence, I'll have to move on from that, and that would be okay.
Do you mind if I ask why it is so special?
It was the last thing given to me by the most important person in my life.
I assume they're dead.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
It was a long time ago, but it helps me remember them.
It
Sometimes
seems
I
important.
feel... Pardon me? Oh.
I only meant to say it seems important. Even
Yeah.
though it is not really important. But somehow it is.
Yeah. That's pretty accurate. I don't want to feel like a slave to my past, you know?
I understand. This is a delicious breakfast.
I was going to say, I hope the coffee is maintaining its sweetness. I would hate for, I don't know, to discover that, you know, when you get a mixed texture, like you're drinking and then all of a sudden it's something that wasn't supposed to be in there. I don't do a lot of cooking.
You should. Clearly you have a talent for combinations.
Sometimes I think I just have intuition on what people like. Even if I don't think I would like it, I can kind of anticipate what others will enjoy.
Perhaps you should be the chef rather than the navigator.
That is something I absolutely know Wyoming will not stand for.
I would not recommend trying any of Wyoming's cooking creations.
Yeah. I think if he made me food specifically, he would either spit in it or try to poison me. One of the two, and I'm really not looking to risk either one.
Why do you think Wyoming has taken such a dislike to you?
I mean, besides the obvious, yes, I can understand the whole situation. Like you said, it feels very convenient. So he's already kind of a paranoid person. So it's very easy for him to not be able to see my face and assume the worst. But I don't know, maybe he's looking at himself, he's looking at his reflection and he doesn't trust himself. And he's projecting that onto me. But I have been nothing but civil and courteous with him. But it's got to be the face thing, to be honest. I haven't done anything, so I think it's his natural paranoia, and he can't figure me out, and it scares him.
That would seem like Wyoming. Half of the time that man is not himself.
He doesn't even know who himself is. How can you maintain a personality if he's always all over the place.
He is one crew member I do not think I have quite figured out yet.
So, you figured me out, is what you're saying.
It will take time.
Well, you referred to me as a crewmate, and I will be satisfied with that.
As long as you do not try to kill anyone, I think everything will be okay.
I mean, I guess, since you asked so politely, I will try not to kill anyone.
That would be appreciated. We've had rather too much action here lately.
You didn't, the Bo Zapper, he wasn't fully dead.
What do you mean?
I have no idea how many nights ago it was that it happened, but, we heard there was, what did Bobbi say? There was a huge asteroid or something out of nowhere, and Bobbi had to turn the ship quickly, and it woke me up. And then Bobbi was going to the cargo hold where the pod and Xander are, and Bo had moved.
Been moved?
He
As
moved
if he'd
him-
moved himself.
Yes.
That's not possible.
And yet, he scratched the top of the pod, and then I guess he died for real. Did Xander chop his head off? I don't remember, Danny.
Yes. His head was removed and put in the freezer in the kitchen. The rest of his body, I think, was wrapped up and stored elsewhere on the ship.
I will relay that. And then we removed from his chest, he had this weird metal situation going on, and we removed that and found, I don't know if you've ever seen a void shard.
No, you won't have.
So
No.
void crystals and void shards, they're just leftover stuff from when the void, like when matter from the void crosses into the known universe. Like, kind of like a solar flare, I guess is a comparison. It creates these black, sharp crystals that are really just junk. But he had one, like, piercing his heart in under the metal plate.
Did it appear to be intentional?
Yes, it was very intentional. It was like jewelry.
Perhaps it's some manner of powering himself.
It could be. Also, Danny, I don't remember who has the void crystal now.
That's a good question. I think Bobbi has it.
Right.
I think.
That would make sense.
But yeah, I
And
think
it's stored safely somewhere.
And the
But
body has not moved since?
I'll look over at the freezer. I mean,
yeah.
I hope not.
You'd have to check the freezer.
I was kind of worried, like, when I heard you, that was my concern. I knew everyone was in bed, so I thought I didn't want Bo to be running around the hallways without a head. That would be terrifying. But it was you.
I killed him. And I'll just kind of walk towards the freezer and try and look inside.
Yeah, you get up and head over to the freezer, and you open it, and you see that there is something yay big in there that has like a piece of cloth wrapped around it. You can pull the cloth back, and you would be able to see what it is.
Yeah, I'll pull the cloth back.
Okay, you pull it back, and you see the face of a human, slightly mottled and emaciated, flesh. The lips have kind of curled back to show razor sharp, kind of pointed, filed down teeth. A mess of dark hair, and no body attached. It is the head of Bo Zappa in the freezer.
He's dead. He is dead. And I take some very deep breaths and close the freezer again. But my hands are shaking.
If it makes you feel any better, you can kind of think of it that you didn't kill him because he didn't stay dead, so...
I suppose, logically, he wasn't dead. He died when the crystal was removed?
I think he died when his head was removed.
Oh. I remember. And I'm just trying not to have, like, flashbacks of stabbing him right now.
Yeah.
As well.
Are you alright? Is this your first time killing someone?
I just stare at the wall.
Yeah.
Unresponsive.
Yeah, you, like, Echo, you see as you ask Mira that question, her pupils dilate slightly, as her eyes unfocus, and she kind of looks beyond you at the wall for a second. Mira, you kind of hear a voice in the back of your head as you zone out, and it's your own voice, and you hear it say, "I'm a killer." And then you kind of like blink very slowly and refocus, and Echoes kind of still sat there waiting a response.
I am sorry. I don't think I'm fully functioning quite yet. Sometimes it takes a while for everything to boot, you see.
I understand. Would you like me to escort you back to your room?
Perhaps. I would like to check in with the captain, if possible. Perhaps it is too late, though.
I think the captain would be pleased to know that you're up and about. But I can't guarantee that they'll be able to wake from everyone's a bit stressed, I think. So I think they need to sleep through the night. But if there's anything else you'd like to investigate, I can make you see some of the new star charts that I've been entering.
Star charts. Ooh. And I look very interested and just kind of Yes, do show me the way.
Perfect. I'll just tidy up the kitchen a bit, put the stuff in the sink. I'm gonna assume we finished the can of pears.
Yeah, it was one tin of fruit cocktail. It's for anyone who's ever had a tin of fruit cocktail. It only ever has one half of a Morello cherry in. You never get the other half. Because they do it on purpose. It's a conspiracy. Anyway, yeah, you finished the tin of fruit cocktail and your coffee. And yeah, it takes you all of 2 seconds to tidy away.
Yeah. To the bridge.
To the bridge.
So, you head off to the bridge, where Echo shows you, Mira, the star charts, and you have looked at these previously with Bobbi when you first were on the ship and first on your travels and kind of plotting courses as a team and a crew. But with Echo showing you what they've been doing, you realize that your star charts have gone from like a 10 gig file to like a 7 terabyte size file of maps and constellations and charts and routes and everything, as they've just been info dumping data into the ship systems, to the point where you can see the current course of the ship is on its way to the Iron Ring. From Lepidoptera, because of the travel time and the orbital rotations of the planets around the sun and the Tenebris system, from when you left Lepidoptera to go to the Iron Ring, it was going to be a 4-week journey. But with the detour the group made, in which they found Echo and their ship on their way to the mining facility, because we're going to go there in the hopes of getting aid from there, it added a week on to the trip. So it took them a week that way, added a week, so there's still about 3 weeks. But looking at the star charts, Echo has replotted a potential course for the ship, which will reduce that 3-week trip by 2, meaning that it would only take a week now, by using the gravitational pull of several planets along the way, to kind of whip the ship around, increasing its speed and trajectory, whichever that word is, getting it there quicker, basically, and using that information they have from their history and knowledge of interstellar travel. So yeah, you look at all this on the bridge, and it's good work. Like, as a navigator, you would expect a lower level of competency and work than what you see here. So it's quite impressive.
This is quite something. Have you served on many ships before?
Depends on what you're comparing it to, but the ones I've been on have gone far. So I've been, years away from stations. I guess I just collected all of these constellations and stars and systems.
There are so many. I never quite realized the whole scale of everything.
Makes you feel very small.
We might run out of space soon. The size of this data is significantly larger than previously.
Well, we could either upgrade the system when we get to the Iron Ring and see if we can get more storage space, or I can always just leave the stuff that we need and delete the rest. I just wanted to have it all in there so the captain can go through, see what's pertinent to what you all need.
It is a necessary cost. I will allow it.
You want to see some of my, how about this? I will set you up with a quick tour of some of my favorite systems and galaxies that'll show on the display, and you can, relax here. I know you had a bit of a moment earlier, but sometimes when you think about how small we actually are and that nothing really matters, it's a bit easier to feel safe. So I will program this in to show you some cool galaxies, stars, that sort of stuff. You can just sit here and relax. And I'm gonna go to bed and let you have some time to just, be by yourself, but like not in your room by yourself, but out here by yourself. Okay, and I'm gonna start programming this stuff in.
My own personal show.
Yeah.
Don't go, though. I would like you to stay.
And I would love to stay. So, all right. I'll start.
Okay, so the pair of you sit down in like the captain's chair and the co-pilot's chair on the bridge, and Echo, you type some stuff into the navigation system and kind of set up almost a slideshow of specific galaxies and places you've been to, and you program the navigation to display it on basically the windows of the cockpit, as they are computer screens as well as windows themselves for like a heads-up display, and you program it in, and you hit enter, and the pair of you kind of sit back in your chairs as you have your own little kind of planetarium display come up of this showcase of constellations and solar systems out there in the far reaches of the universe that, Mira, you have never seen. And the pair of you sit there quietly and watch the universe go by, as it were, on this showcase of navigational data. And you sit quietly, not saying anything to each other whilst you watch. It's a nice, quiet moment you share in the midst of everything that's been going on, and all the craziness and violence, as it were. It's a moment of peace that you have. And Mira, as you're sat here watching this with your now new crew member Echo sat beside you, sharing this view with you, you feel yourself drifting off, because even though you've been locked in your room for a week, you haven't exactly slept at any point during that. So you sit back in the chair looking at the stars, and you find yourself drifting off to sleep, and your eyes get heavy, and like one of them closes and opens again while you try and keep you're fighting against it to keep awake to look at the splendor of the universe. And your eyes drift and get heavy, and then you get this thought in the back of your mind, thinking back to what Echo had said earlier when they asked you to help them with their music box. And just a phrase they say sticks out to you, and it was a long time ago, but it helps me remember them. And you kind of play that phrase in the back of your head and smile to yourself, as it's a lovely, warm, human sentiment. You know, it was a long time ago, but it helps me remember them. And that thought of memory and, you know, remembering loved ones, it's a nice thought to have. And you close your eyes, feeling content in this moment. And as you drift off to sleep, you say to yourself, I'm a killer. And that's where we'll end this episode. So, for everyone watching, thank you very much for joining us for this little mini episode of A Corrupted Frontier, our Death in Space campaign. Whilst Echo derobes, as we are off air now, so they can do that. I'd like to thank you all for watching. Please stick around, because we will be having another full group episode shortly. This was a little mini one just to give you a little extra before we jump into the full group. But yeah, I will forego a lot of our spiel at the end of a show, because I'll be doing it shortly anyway. But quickly, just to go around the table, again, our massive group table we have here today. Just to quickly go around and hype everyone up, because this is a really cool little RP session. Echo, please tell us who you are, where we can find you, and everything about yourself.
Oh, everything. My name is Rachel Beauregard. I'm an actor and a gamer, and you can find me on Instagram at Manic Pixie Tank Girl, or my nerdy gay design at Bad Duck Design. You can see the promo art and overlays for Mythical Melee with Dragon Rock RPG design. You can find me on Twitch at Sugarpunk. Sometimes I'm in the chat, but yeah, sorry. I'm so overwhelmed with this RP. I have all these thoughts, but yeah, thank you for watching and having me. So,
thank you very much. And Mira, you're up.
So you can find me as Dawn Whisper pretty much everywhere, apart from TikTok, where I'm Dawn Whisper _ because someone stole my username. I'm live most days of the week on Twitch from either 1 p.m. or 6 p.m. UK time, and come say hi sometime. I don't bite too much.
Thank you very much. I'm Danny. Check for traps everywhere, the initiative order, all this stuff, you know me. That's it. That's this session. We'll see you shortly. Thank you all very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Stick around. We have plenty more shenanigans coming up in this campaign, as well as all the plethora of amazing shows we run on here, and community games in our Discord, so check that out as well. Yeah, thank you very much, everyone, and see you later.